schools and within the YTP. So a kind of two-tiered process. And what does that mean? But as we get into it, there's a lot of time for Q&A, and I'm going to need your participation and your unmuting skills to click that button and share out and talk to us, or it's going to be pretty dry, boring, and probably fairly quick. So there is that. I'm Jesse Berkey with the University of Oregon, as you guys know, a technical assistance provider here. Our management team meeting, all of us, we just finished a 6-hour powwow, and Sally is not able to join us for this community of practice, but that slide tells the rest of our names. So it's who we are. If my screen's glitching, I can't tell if you can see it or not, but I saw Charlotte wave, and then everything went fuzzy.
Turning to 5.
That's how powerful I am, Jesse.
I guess.
You want to do the notes? No, you can't. Somebody.
Can somebody who's host on the UVO team see the chat?
Mhm.
Yeah,
We just saw the
See that?
chat.
Okay.
5 people in another room. I don't know why that keeps happening. That's 2 times in a row.
Because people bookmarked an old link.
An old link.
Which I last time to figure out how to access it. So-
Yeah, what happened to me is I went to my calendar and that's where it was at. And I went there instead of coming on straight on to the YTP site to get the Zoom. Do you want me to go to the other site and go tell those guys to do the YTP Zoom?
That
That'd
would
be awesome.
wonderful.
It's on the YTP website.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
I will leave and come back.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Let's send out a notice next month.
Yeah,
Never
because that
done.
happened twice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it sounds like we're waiting for people to join us.
Just a minute or two.
I
Okay.
tried the old link too, but I found the new link on the website.
Kristen, when I got. Oh, you've been watching the 2020 Summer Academy for 3 hours?
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, why do you guys look so weird? And I was like, oh yeah, I was watching last year's.
Oh.
Like everybody's hair is different and like, what? And I was like,
COVID has aged us significantly.
yeah, I just been watching all of them because I didn't get to watch all of them yet.
Oh, good. Nice.
Oh, that's.
I've been sitting in front of this computer for about 5 hours.
Oh,
Talk to you.
yeah. Good on you, girl.
Lots of learning though. I'm good.
Good. Good, good.
Okay, did those people get in?
We're in the other room.
Kristen, you'll have to recommend the highlights from those sessions. What do you recommend that we should keep and what should we reconsider?
Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah.
We should be
Ugh,
good to
that's
go
putting
now.
pressure on me.
We'll give you you can tell us at the end. We'll give you some time.
The last one I just watched was my favorite one, I think. And it was the one that was by Mary Jo. And it was like specifically about like the YTP and the process and all of that. So that was nice.
Oh, cool.
Good.
Good. I'll have to go
That's
back
why I
and
look,
remember what.
yeah, that's why I was like, why do you look weird?
Why do we look weird?
Oh, I gotta look.
Not in a bad way,
Hair,
not in
huh?
a bad way. Everybody's hair is totally different. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Like,
Which one
Yeah.
was it? Summer Academy?
It was the third one, which was
Oh.
Mary Jo. Yeah, it was number 3. So I was on the third one.
Third one of Summer Academy series.
Yeah, I don't, I just, there was like 1, 2, 3. I
Perfect.
don't remember the title of it, but
yeah.
All right.
Glad you're getting
it was,
busy
I'm-
school year.
I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Again, my display has glitched a few times, so I'm frustrated and not sure what to do. You see the YTP management team slide, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it to the next one. Here's our agenda and outcomes for the day. I want us to start with a big picture level and review what is the idea, right? Individual, I just lost my idea.
Thought you were saying what is IDEA, and I'm like,
Well,
oh
yeah.
my God, Jesse.
There we go, right? We're going to cover that. What is IDEA? but we're also going to talk about participants identifying programs in their local schools and understanding where YTP fits within class, school, and communities. And what do we mean when we say community? Is it independently? Is it supported? And then like last time, Terry gave us homework, and I have a homework sheet that I'll put a link up to on our website that we can look at and review. Hello, there it goes. This is glitching so bad in this room. Sorry. Our YTP program foundation, I'd like to see thumbs up, thumbs down. Has anybody read our manual? It looks like this. This is our outside cover.
Just, you should put your
I
thumbs
did.
up.
At least like this. I'm blind here. I cannot see participants to know if you're giving me the thumbs up.
So
Yes, I've read it.
yeah, you're getting responses that yes, some people have.
Good. Some people have. There's a little link there. And when this goes live, if you click that link, it'll take it to you on our website. But chapter 2, Beyond the Foundation, talks about programming and program management for YTP. So the rest of this call is based on that. But here you go, Mary Hanks. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act from IDEA 2004. The question is, who knows what it says? I'll show you in a minute, but I want to hear. Anybody know it? Have it memorized? The purpose of it? Melissa Downs, go ahead. The purpose of IDEA is?
I think her hand's still up from the, have you read the manual?
Oh, and it just flashed up on my screen finally. Some, but not all.
It ensures free public education for all students.
So yeah, it was passed in the 70s, and it's federal law and making sure that all people, whether that experience a disability, get to be included in a free and appropriate public education. And then it devised laws developing that IEP so that they got those individualized plans.
All right. If we were in person, I'd throw you a little treat. Some
Oh, thank
candy,
you.
but we're not. So as a stepping stone from that, YTP was developed, right? To enhance the work that's happening in the local school districts. We say YTP is not the only transition program or the transition program in some instances, but it's a part of transition programming. I'm trying to click to my next point and things are not working. So this is our quote from our manual. As we talk about IDEA, then we say the purpose is to ensure that all children with disabilities have available to them a free and appropriate public education that emphasizes special education and related services, right? You guys can keep reading. Designed to meet unique needs and prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living. That's what YTP does. True enough. But we also say that if you have YTP in your school, it is one option, but it's not the only option. So as we make these points, if you're hearing something that you're questioning in your mind as a transition specialist on this call, it's a good time to jot that note down, share it out with your TAP, and we'll get back to you on brainstorming why we're stating things the way we are. I have clicked next. Okay. It's finally changed. I'm beyond frustrated. I'm sorry, folks. here's some requirements of IDEA. I want to work with us and fill in these blanks. As it's technical law, these words fit. But I wonder, could somebody fill in this first part B? Beginning not later than the first IEP to be in effect when?
At age 16.
16,
I heard by age 16. So when the child turns 16,
the year they turn 16, it has to be in that IEP.
what comes after or?
14.
Or 14, it's appropriate at 14, but the law says 16 is the latest you can push it.
So it could be appropriate at 14. There's a very technical, if it'll click.
Okay, hold on, beginning not later.
Here it goes.
There we go.
Or younger if determined appropriate by who? The IEP team, and updated annually thereafter. So this is really important for us to know in YTP and in general, programming. It's what drives YTP. But if we're needing to serve a student who's 15, let's do it. There shouldn't be a roadblock or a barrier in place or an agency that says, nope, they're not old enough. Maybe somebody's, for whatever reason, not finishing school, needs the support right now. So we would start before age 16 if appropriate. All right, the next bullet, does anybody know what goes in those blanks? Appropriate, what type of goals?
Measurable.
Measurable?
Annual.
Transition.
Transition, maybe? Maybe appropriate, measurable, post-secondary goals. Based upon what?
Age appropriate transition assessments.
There we go. I knew you guys knew it. It's changed on my end. The bottom one popped in too. If these clicks take forever, this isn't going to work. I'm sorry. Transition services, it's the bottom one. But I just wanted to really highlight this slide talking about IDEA requirements. I know it's in our manual, but it's very important for all of us to have this as our foundation and our cornerstone or capstone, if you will, that we hang our hats on. We serve students, not only because of this law, but it's for the good of the kid as we support them to get jobs and as we develop our YTP programs. So here comes the fun one in my mind, and it's going to take all of us again. We talk about the big idea, or what is it? Let's talk about school programming. Where does programming happen in our schools? As these little icons pop up, you guys can feel free to add to the list, and I want you to name them. So the first one's really easy. What kind of programming does this represent?
Sports.
And that fits within school? Sometimes. We're gonna
Recreation.
recreation.
Was PE too, PE and athletics.
PE and sports. I've got another one
Music.
up there, right?
Music.
Music, band, maybe even arts. We broaden that out. I also used little graphics. Who's seen this one?
Clubs. School clubs,
School club.
activity.
Aspire is for college information, scholarships, etc.
Community.
And
Being
set up
prepared.
kids, yeah, set up kids with mentors.
Post-secondary.
Resource.
We work with youth in the schools in YTP, and they're all interconnected with these larger programs, right? Here's a couple more. What might that represent?
YTP.
Community,
Community, YTP,
growing.
growing. How does that fit?
Transition.
Career exploration.
Skill development.
What is that?
Transportation.
Number one barrier to employment for students with disabilities in the state of Oregon for more than 10 years.
Oh, Michelle Pruden, I hear it. I was thinking driver's education. It's a program in a school, but it's transportation. It can be a barrier for students.
And it isn't in all schools.
It's not in a 2-hour radius from me.
Me either.
What is that?
The law.
Or
Juvenile.
The IDEA? It is. It's all of those things. It could be a club as well. It could be debate club or something around those lines. There's another one.
DMV.
Post-school outcomes.
Post-school outcomes.
Money management and how to gamble. No, I think that's
Financial literacy.
Who said that?
Management,
Financial literacy.
financial literacy, school-based businesses,
those aren't poker chips. Dang.
pile of coins. I don't know. All right, what's the next one? Hey, most of us know about YTP. Oh, I had a different draft that I couldn't include it, but I had the pre-ETS logo as well. Pre-ETS, pre-employment transition services. We see those happening in schools all over the place. Who's responsible to deliver a pre-ETS?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Agencies like book rehab and training employment consortium.
A lot of agencies partner with Voc Rehab can deliver pre-ETS. But it's the ask of Voc Rehab that transition specialist in YTP programming deliver at least one pre-ET to every YTP eligible student. It's not to say you're going to deliver a pre-ET to everybody in your district, but I bring up pre-ETs here just as a reminder that yes, you do have to deliver one pre-ET in YTP. Okay, last week Terry did a great job. She walked us through a noun and a verb for work-based learning or sequence with her focus on work-based learning happening in YTP. So I did the same. Kudos to Terry for outlining and laying out a PowerPoint that I could follow. But I like the verb here, to work out a sequence of operations. And you remember this picture that Terry had? I'm hoping that there's a lot of repeat folks on the call that have seen this photo. Is that true? Yes? Shooting in the dark here.
You're getting.
Yes.
Right?
I'm seeing heads nod. I'm imagining heads nodding. Yes, you heard Terry's presentation on sequencing.
Yes.
And how does your team plan together? What are the sequences? So that was one of her components there. As you think about YTP, do you coordinate? Do you deliver? Do you meet other programs? Monthly, we have consortium meetings. Who hosts those? It's often held at an ESD. Your technical assistance providers are there. But a lot of times we sit back and we just let you guys drive the program. You ask questions, you say, I need help with X, and another site might walk you through it. Does anybody out there have a mentor that you look at, that you might call, say, hey, can you help me understand something? Shout it out, let's hear about it.
former YTP person that I replaced.
That's you, Gail?
Yeah. Person who did this job before me, and she's still in the school district. So I run a lot of ideas past her.
For me, it depends. If it's a voc rehab question, I call my voc rehab counselor. If it's a YTP question, I call Mary Jo.
Call Mary Jo. Mary Jo's a great resource. Why would you call Mary Jo?
If I don't understand something on my database, I call her a lot about that. Also, if I'm not sure if there's a policy or procedure that's correct, because we have a lot of change in case managers and principals, superintendents, and sped directors. So she's been my constant. So I bounce it off her, and then she might send me up the chain to Sally or somebody at ODE.
There you go. So brainstorming, bringing in a partner. I know, Michelle, in your school, kids access CTE, the Career Center, sports, and other opportunities. A few slides back, we clicked a bunch of different programs or icons and named out some of them. And in a few more slides, Michelle, you'll get the opportunity to talk about how you bring in partnerships. But as Michelle's doing that, there's other programs, other garden clubs, other work-based learning experiences that sites coordinate together to make happen. So if you have something like that, I'd like you to take the time to celebrate it, to share it out with us. Let's talk about how you make your program the best it can be. YTP by design looks different in every school district. Some districts are very small and some are very large. And how we coordinate it in one site might look different at others. So that's when if you're stuck with that, you reach out to your TAP and we talk about it. This next slide, there it's advancing, talks about sequencing. And it's the same basic picture that Terry had. If I could draw an arrow on each one of those boxes that say class and school and in the community with support or independent, I would tie it back to that top through line. Because at times you might leave school and go back towards talking to the transition specialist, not being in a class or being in school. You may need to leave that setting and go on a one-on-one and have a conversation with the transition specialist. So I might throw that arrow in on those boxes. But aside from that, the sequence here really represents programming in YTP, the same as it did for Terry in sequencing. And it's where we're going with these calls over the next few months or year to help you guys. We'll talk about summer work programming. We'll talk about YTP as a partnership inside of a class. We'll talk about in more depth, what does YTP look like in the community? Maybe that's summer work. What does it look like with support though? Do you have a job coach? Are you the job coach? That type of conversation flows from big picture programming. Makes sense, right? Where are you in the sequence with programming? Some of you are brand new sites or brand new within the last 3 years. I'm frustrated I can't see the participants, but use your reactions, put a thumbs up or raise your hand. How many of you are still considered new if we say the definition of new is within the last 4 years? And Garrett or Terry, somebody in the other room?
I see 1, 2 so far, 3.
4, 5.
We're at 5.
You're at 5, plus there's some in chat, and I'm seeing a couple of those popping through.
Oh, yeah, a lot of, yeah, they don't have their cameras on, we can't see.
6, 7, 8, 9.
The camera on, they're able to do it.
9. There's 9 of us, so there's 50. So it's right now you're running 20% roughly have their hand up that says, hey, I am still new here. And 3 more just raised a hand. I am still new. So that's 14. We're up to 25% on this call are new within the last 4 years.
And another couple.
That's good. That tells us that programming from the YTP side, management, that our training needs to be renewed and revisited. We need to hear from you guys as sites what your needs are, and that's part of programming. So why this is big picture here. If you have specifics that you need help, you reach out to your technical assistance provider and we can help you out. Becky, I see that one, a little over 14 months. And as you're thinking about it, I am new and I'm just beginning to understand my program. How have you felt the need to reach out to us? Becky, I know you have. You started your school-based business. You said, let's chat. I need program, I need structure. And we've talked it out. A vet science exploration. See you, Sarah Lynn.
Bye, sorry.
No, that's fine. Trying to catch up on chat too. My other screen was glitching, so that's all I could see. But Becky, you think about it, and I'd like you to share after Michelle here on how did you do it? How'd you get started saying, I know that I want to take this coffee shop and I want to work with my outside funding source, the student body, outside of that, and say, we need to make this program inclusive for everybody. Some of the folks on this call have heard this, but this is statewide, and I want to highlight that. And there's another program that we want to talk about some other successes with as we develop YTP. It's stuck again. Michelle, I think you're still on here, right?
Yeah, sorry, they had to take our picture for the Christmas cards.
That's no problem. I have no idea who's on the call anymore.
I'm here.
Michelle Pruden down in Brookings Harbor reached out to us this week and said, I'd like a few minutes to talk about Unique Boutique, but describe for us what that is, how long you've been with it, and then take it a step further. How does Brookings Harbor, your YTP site, partner with CTE and some other sources within your school to make this happen?
So the Unique Boutique, when I first started, was an opportunity for our students to sell their items in a hallway in Hood River. Those of you who are old school, remember we had a binder with a tally system, and we sold the items that our students had worked on in their school-based businesses all year round. We've graduated to a big room, typically on the top floor of the conference location, where we still have the opportunity to market and sell the products that our students create during the school year. Some of us had a hard time with COVID, product expiring or not having the opportunity to sell our items. I brought students in the past to give them the opportunity to work on their employment foundations and to see what their product looks like as it is sold and flies out the door. And so that's always a really great opportunity to get your students involved in the sales component, depending on how far you are from the conference location. This year it'll be in Eugene, and we are anticipating having the same location that we've had in years past. I believe it's the top floor, and we are welcoming you to bring your products and the things that your students have been producing over the school year. Some of you may be having a difficult time with creating a school-based business or keeping one afloat with COVID. But what I would like you to consider is partnering with your CTE programs. We've done it naturally in our school in the past. As our items were being sold, the woodshop teacher would come to me and say, hey, I've got these bookshelves. What do you think? And would add his product to our farmers market booth as a way to raise money for his own program. So it can look lots of different ways.
I have your slides here loaded up. I can walk through them.
Cool, go for it.
So there's your partner's woods right there.
Yeah, so this is our we call it woods, but it's our construction and wood working classes. And so I don't ask them or tell them what to make. We partner up and I'm like, what are you guys working on? And would you like to sell some of these? at the Unique Boutique this year. So we've done wooden spoons, spatulas, and those oven rack pullers. Those are not very popular, by the way. But this year they're doing picture frames and wooden boxes. I suggested maybe putting some like dominoes in there, but that's an example of what they've got so far. And then I spoke to his class about the Unique Boutique in the hopes that they might generate some ideas so that they have more product. This is our metals class. That's an example of the first thing that they have produced for us, and those are garden markers. But they're looking at lots of different opportunities now that they've got some new equipment in our sheet metal program. So that is something that we're looking forward to building up. They've done like fire pits in the past and all kinds of random stuff, benches and stools as well. So this is what he's got going so far this year. Ceramics and art. So we're talking about doing succulent gardens and partnering with our school-based business, the garden aspect, and then also the art aspect. And so those are some examples of some bowls and planters. We're also talking about doing those really cool macrame plant holders with our art program.
Macrame is back.
Macrame is way back. I just went to Portland and my friend was like, I need 10 of those because I need to hang them from my fire extinguisher pipe. Next slide, please. This is our YTP school-based business. So we do a lot of value-added product. We're part of Farm to Table. So we do jams, jellies, sauces, birdhouses, baked goods. I tried to give you, we do cut floral bouquets. I tried to give you an idea of what we do year round and not just what we prep for the Unique Boutique. It depends on what the students want to do. My all-girls class right now has one of the Paths to the Future assignments is to start a business, a fictional one. But this year we decided to make it a real one. So they called themselves the Bear Care Company. That's their company name. And they're going to be producing apple pie filling with the crust. So you can take it home and make a pie. And another group of them is going to be making chapsticks, facial scrubs, lotions, and soap. And they're talking about making like a kid's version, a mom version. You know, like they're working on their marketing scheme right now. But all in sort of a SEL kind of umbrella. It's kind of interesting. Twist on Care Bears they are doing. And so, you know, really the kids are the driving factor in the ideas behind what we do. It just depends on what we've got as far as product and accessibility. We have digital graphics and animation, and they are going to be our next partner. She's working on doing some really cool posters with positive sayings that we might put into those wooden picture frames. If you want any ideas, feel free to give me a call or an email, but your CTE people are probably producing some pretty fantastic product. I just suggest you talk to them about how you can collaborate. It can generate money for their programs, but also give your students more product to work with when they're selling items. And a lot of their students are my students. So
two questions. And I see one in the Lane's asking, what is SEL?
Social emotional learning.
Thank you. Yeah. And two, I don't want to miss this opportunity to say, how are your YTP kids in CTE? Or which of your YTP kids are in CTE, right? As part of another program. You're not just calling and saying, hey, Mr. Woodshop, can you let me sell some of your widgets? Your kids are in both programs, dual enroll and making those. So tell us more about that.
So we talk a lot about the classes that they're taking in class because we work on person-centered planning, and we do a complete slide on school, their school slide, like what they're involved in and what they're participating in. So I know which CTE programs, which students are working with. But then we also take a tour of our CTE programs so that students are more exposed to other classrooms and teachers that they might not know about. And then I have a student who's a freshman and wants to be a photographer. She took every single picture you're looking at, actually. And so I took her with me to go look at these CTE programs and to meet with students that I already knew, and was like, hey, show me what you're working on in, you know, Mr. Suter's class. And so we walk around and explore, really.
Yeah, Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
Jesse, there was another question that just popped up. What is CTE?
Career tech education. And most schools, I would say, probably have a CTE program, if not all, but I'm not an expert on that.
And again, I can't see the faces, but I recognize the name. Christina, welcome to YTP. Christina, everybody, is brand new within the last week.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, give her some
Thank
kudos.
you.
Bear with us because YTP is very acronym heavy. And that manual I showed you on the first page, in there, I think near the last page of the manual, it breaks down about 70 common acronyms we use. So you may want to take a look at that. And I know you and I we're scheduled to meet, I think this week, and go through a lot of information. So.
Yes, thank you.
You bet. Gail Newton.
Good question, Gail. So we've done it both ways. I've had like the art teacher definitely wants some of the funding back because she doesn't have a ton of money in her her supply kitty. But my CTE programs tend to have a little bit more money, at least recently. And so they've been like, sometimes they'll just say, hey, these are the 10 spoons that the kids have made that are left over. Do you want to market those at market? And you guys can just keep them. All the way to no, we want 100% of the product. So we have that conversation with students and we kind of negotiate.
Okay, cool.
But we have a good amount of money in our student account. And so to me, it's just having more product when we go to the farmer's market and more exposure. And the kids have more pride, I feel like, when they're selling products that they've made in their CTE programs. It's not less than when they make product in my program. It's just different, I guess. And some of them, enjoy their CTE classes much more than their other classes.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle, for walking that through. How many spots does Unique Boutique have this year potentially? Like YTP sites that could bring stuff, how many?
I'm not exactly sure what we're capping at this point. So the Google form has a timestamp on it. And the last time I checked, no one had registered yet. So there's plenty of room. We're still trying to work out the logistics of the cost of tables and who will be sponsoring it. So I would say if you want to have a school-based business table, if you want to participate in the Unique Boutique, sign up as soon as possible to ensure you have a spot. But my goal is that everybody who wants to have a table can have a table. If I have to start limiting people, I will make sure to blast that out. But right now, it doesn't look like I have to.
Charlotte, we see your hand.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. So Michelle, not to put you on the spot, but but I'm going to anyway.
Go to town.
So Jesse's talking about transition programming for students with disabilities. You're talking about selling things at this, Unique Boutique. What's the learning component for your students?
It depends on the student, it depends on the program, but I tried to showcase some of the tools that the students were using when I was in the CTE classes specifically, because they're tools that I don't have in my classroom or access to, or even the knowledge to safely use most of those. And so for my students, it's not just the selling of the product that is the skill. Like that's what I see a lot of, because I take them to the Unique Boutique and I take them to farmers market. It's the tools and the skills that they use to create those products. That's really where the learning takes place. Do I like working with wood or not? Do I like working with machinery or not? Do I like working with a group or by myself or not? And so I would say that's where I see a lot of that significant CTE learning, and it's completely tied to industry. Like it has to be, right? To be a super quality CTE program, you have to have that work-based learning component. And so to me, it's one of the best things I have at school is my CTE program, besides YTP.
And STEM Eco.
And STEM Eco, but that's all embedded in both, honestly.
So you're using it as transition assessment information?
Correct.
Skill development for your students to learn, literally to learn to use a saw or a drill or, yeah.
And, certification component too. So my students come out with a food handler certification. I've got students that have been in digital graphics that come out with Adobe certification. So it's also that next level of industry certification that students are earning while in high school. So I think just like special education in general, it really is individualized depending on the student, what they gain from it. But fostering those programs, I think, is important, and those relationships, because we share those students. And if we don't, we should consider sharing those students, because a lot of times that's where my kids find a passion and success.
So you're probably also hitting things like communication skills, appropriate socialization skills. I mean, the end product is great, but the pathway to get there is filled with a lot of learning, as you said, for an individual student along the way.
Correct.
You.
And it's really fun. We shouldn't take the fun out of school. It is way more mess and time consuming, but it's way more fun to do project-based learning, in my opinion, as an educator. And it makes kids come to school. Like my first period class was 100% on task, 100% of the time today, because they were building a business.
That's early.
It was, and it was fantastic.
Quick questions in the chat. It says, just to clarify, the opportunity for selling items is at the conference in March, and that's a yes. And who takes care of the booth table at each of the conference? Does the YTP specialist have to sit there, Michelle?
Good question.
No, but we love for you to be there to market your product, and for your students to be there. If at all possible, you get that opportunity, please try it. It's magical. But we will be there to sell your product for you. We just ask that you label each and every product with your school name on it, not an acronym, because a lot of times you guys have the same acronym. And so what I have is a point of sale machine, and we will put every single sale that you make into that POS machine, and we will make sure that you have all of your money at the end. You'll get a check actually made out to your school. It'll be mailed to you, but we will have that provided for you as a service. So you don't have to stand there and miss the conference and sell your product.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle, for highlighting that, sharing out about it, and for following up and answering Charlotte's questions. Very important work. If others are on the call that have another partnership program that they partner with in terms of YTP getting into the school and embedding and not just being a standalone silo, we'd love to hear about it. But Becky, I told you I'd like to hear more about your coffee cart deal, just like we talked about at the regional, but for everybody.
Okay.
It's so incredible.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. And Michelle, you're a hard act to follow. So congratulations for all the work that you're doing there. I think we started the school year with just kind of experimenting in our training process. And so we have a coffee cart. At the beginning of the school year, we were offering Italian sodas, flavored lemonades, and cold brew. And so as our students are learning to make the drinks, they're experimenting and, adding different types of flavors in. And then we were walking around the building, handing out samples. And the buy-in that you would receive from students, whether they liked the drink they created or they didn't like the drink they created, it was just such a buy-in. And as we started offering drinks to classes in our training process, I have to see, hopefully I can show this off. I ordered fake money on Amazon and here's my money. It really looks real. And so we would go to a classroom and we would hand out a variety of change, like a $10, $5, $20. And the students would come to our class and we would practice all of the different aspects of running a coffee cart. They would pay for their drink, give back change, all of those different aspects of running a coffee cart. And in that process, I started to think, not everybody comes to school with cash in their pocket. And how can I make the coffee cart accessible to everyone so that anyone could come and purchase a drink? So I looked at our costs and I thought it was around $3,000 for the previous year. And my previous development coordinator experience, I thought, I think I could probably pull off raising $3,000. So I wrote a small grant to our Saxon Foundation and was awarded $2,000 within a couple of days. So that allowed us to give all free drinks, 8-ounce free drinks to every student here in the building during the month of October. And so that really gave us some momentum, and that momentum led to a newspaper student here asked to create a dual purpose sticker. The leadership program made a poster for behind our coffee cart that's just beautifully painted. We are now going to start sharing a refrigerator with the leadership program so that they can store food for the food bank pantry, and we can store our milks. The funding also allowed me to contact a local coffee shop, and I didn't have to ask for a donation. I just said, we'd like to feature your local coffee so that we're partnering with local people. And they're like, sure, we'd love to do that. So it was really nice not to ask for a donation, but just say, we have the funds, we'd like to buy local. How do you feel about working with us? I just wrote a small grant to a local bank here, Pioneer Trust Bank. They're going to fund some of our product, and they asked for some small promotional piece. So we went back to the coffee cart, started experimenting, and we're going to have a Pioneer peppermint mocha during the month of December to honor their local donation. It's just been really neat to see the buy-in. Our students that are customers are inventing drinks, and the pride that they have in inventing a drink and experimenting with it. We've tried to incorporate learning from both sides. I'm really open with all of the teachers here, whether they want to make a nutritional lesson out of our smoothies, want to come and have just social hour. I've been reaching out to like all of the French, Spanish, German, maybe we could find some folks to come and have their be kind of more of a cafe and have the students engage in sort of a get a drink, but order in the language that they're learning. So we've just been really having tons of fun, being super open to any idea that gets presented. And it just feels like there's buy-in there and some ownership. And I think one of the odd kind of offshoots of this is I created a manager's desk with a desk that was from the 1950s and was headed off to surplus. And I thought, well, when I do mock interviews, this will look like a place of business. And that has turned into a space where people like to come and have lunch. And so I always go, if I see somebody eating lunch there, I always introduce myself and tell them they're very, very welcome to eat lunch there. On occasion, I get little thank you notes saying, thank you for letting me have my lunch here. But those are those small things where I wanted to create an equitable space that anybody could engage in. And the fact that my manager's desk is using to be a quiet reading space during lunch just makes me feel so good that the steps that we are taking are the right steps. And so now we're operating the espresso machine, and the empowerment that you get steaming milk is fantastic. And as Michelle mentioned, our students are getting their food handlers cards. And so we're really trying to make sure that it is, like I said, a very equitable space that anybody can come and engage in. And it feels like it's kind of taking a life of its own. So
thank you, Becky. Yeah, I hope you guys all heard that, right? Every student has access to it because of the funding that's there. Not everybody walks into school with cash in their pocket, like Becky said. That's just striking to me, but it brings to mind a question about YTP programming for me. What happens in your district? Ask yourselves, if YTP went poof, what holes are going to be created? Because in my mind, that helps answer the question, what is my YTP program and where are we embedded within the school? Would they notice me missing from CTE, from the wood shop? Would I not be able to sell my wooden spoon, for example, or the metal art, or coffee drinks here, or in sports programming? which kids might be missing from band or driver's ed if we went poof with YTP? Or would those programs continue and nobody would know? Just that's my question. And as you think about it, last week, or last month rather, I'm sorry, Terry gave homework. And she asked, in work-based learning, what's my sequence? What's my sequence in class, in school, in community supports, and independently in the community? And I have the same homework sheet that I'm going to post. It'll be on the website with this recording that you can download and write or fill it out and share it with your TAPs. Who is it that we might need to talk to? What's happening in this class that we could change about a certain component of the program? As you read through chapter 2 with the manual and you think on that, maybe there's a community supported independent living program of such that you're partnering with because you know one student in your YTP program is going to be heading out that door. Maybe you can help them. And then where does it YTP interact within the community? Is it the local coffee shop that you're now buying coffee from and supporting, who's hopefully next semester hires one of the kids that has been trained in the school, and you build that up and give the community-based job. So that's your homework. Go to the website, we'll download this form, or we'll upload it, you download it, and ask yourself what needs to be subtracted or added, or who, right? In terms of the individual student, or who in terms of my YTP administrator, do I need to ask for permission to do X, Y, or Z? Or what can I do X, Y, or Z to build my YTP program? But any questions for myself or others as we wrap up here in the next couple of minutes? The chat, I've started partnering with my CTE culinary program and their catering business with my coffee cart, and we fill that spot. We fill that spot with them to help them offer more. Yeah, by putting your kiddos in there. Thank you. Mary Jane Pierce over in Mount here. Thank you for naming yourself that way, because again, I don't have the other screen up. That helps me. As a newbie, sometimes it's difficult to know what questions to ask and exactly where to start, but I'm grateful for everyone sharing. As others share, I begin to have more ideas to share from. And that is the purpose of community practice calls and networking with your technical assistance provider and getting into a consortia-based rhythm. So thank you for pointing that out again, Mary Jane. That's part of programming at the very foundation. What is YTP? Well stated. What else, folks? Any other questions?
Here's a question. Can you say again the difference between community supported and community independent?
Thank you, Terry. It's a big picture question. Community supported, and other TAPs, you can feel free to jump in here too. But community supported might be programs that you see that occur within the community that are normally happening because school exists. We started with icons, sports, football, basketball. It happens in the evenings, weekend, Friday night lights in other communities. That's one example of community supported. It may be an employment-based community supported work-based learning that happens in the summer. Your students working for the school district and being paid for by the school district, but you're doing the job in the community through part of either RFA, request for applicant funding, or from other funding sources. Versus community independent might be the YTP student that's gone out in the community with the transition specialist, found a job at the donut shop, for example, and is serving customers. And as a transition specialist, you've helped coordinate for that job to occur. You've done the job development, helped fill out the application, made sure their Social Security I-9 documents were ready to go, and then they're in the community independently. Does anybody want to elaborate more on that or give other examples? No. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, my technology was so poor today. This other screen up here that kept glitching in and out, I just gave up on it, but I couldn't see all of your faces.
Hey, Jesse.
I was gonna say, I see Kia's hand raised and I see somebody else. Go ahead. Hear you.
Yeah, I just had one more question actually for Michelle and Becky. I was curious, when you guys started those programs, I'm assuming you came up with that idea, or a team of you came up with that idea. Where did you start? Like, what was the very beginning process of implementation? Did you go to like the administrator? Did you, I guess, that very beginning steps?
My administrator came to me and said, "You'll start a school-based business." And I was like, "What the heck is that?" I was brand new, and she gave me a Xerox machine. And I was like, "What do I do with that?" And that was supposed to be incorporated into my school-based business because it was left over from some grant money. So we did a copy center because it was what I could do quickly. And we made photocopies for teachers. We didn't earn any money, so it wasn't really a business, it was a service. But it gave my kids the ability to use technology in an office environment, answering the phone, taking a message, using the copy machine, assembling binders, like just basic skill sets in an office environment. But and then I took tours. I went and looked at Melissa Downs' school-based business. I went and looked at Penny Wellbaum's to see what other people were doing. And then I looked at both what my school need was and what my community need was. So where are my kids going to get their first jobs? We're a hospitality and tourism industry. So I looked to hospitality and tourism first. I didn't want to like clean hotel rooms or anything like that, but we have a lot of restaurants and pubs and breweries around where students could be, bussing tables, dishwashing, prep cook, waitressing and waitering. And we also had a large group of people who go out to eat. Our restaurants are always busy, even during the off season, because we have a lot of fishing in our community. So our tourist season isn't isolated to summer. So that's kind of where I started. And I also looked at what we already had. Our school was building a coffee shop. I didn't need to take that on with YTP. I just needed to make sure that my students were in there and help them with some UDL training stuff for the kids that I had that were working in that coffee shop.
What's UDL?
Universal design for learning. So basically they didn't have any training procedures in place, let alone having them written down and sequenced. So I went in and was like, hey, this isn't just good for so-and-so, this is good for all kids. Yeah. And so we worked together to make picture-based and text-based training task cards back in the day to manuals more present day.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. And Michelle Markle's pointing out, hey, it's in chapter 5 of the YTP manual, more on instruction. So again, that's a great resource to start at too. If you need help with it, check out the YTP manual, ask your TAP. It's fresh off the press this July. So you should all have a copy by now. And if you don't, we as TAPs are still working to distribute it. A few of us have a couple to get out yet. But you could download it from the YTP website. It's 100 and some page PDF. So that's there. It's a tool for you. But as you do your homework, hopefully it does spark questions and you contact your TAPs and you ask us, hey, what about this? Or can we do this? Or have we thought about this in my site? And it highlights the needs for teaming with your core YTP team being your administrator, your teacher, your VR counselor, and yourself as a transition specialist. How do we all do this together and make our program so valuable and integrated and tied into the school that we know it can continue to serve kids for a very long time? So that's what we're about and how to help you. All right. Thank you, folks, for your time. Again, I apologize that everything was out of sorts for me. It was good to see you. I see you now that I'm not sharing. So we will touch base. See you again in a month on the second Monday at 2 o'clock. And that info is already on the website. We will blast out a reminder ahead of time with the link so that we make sure everybody has it and not an old one. So I apologize for that. Bye.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.